Welcome to another show today at the ChrisRodMaxShow, where every week we talk about the latest, greatest AI news. We talk to inspiring founders in the space and hear their stories, look at their demos, and discuss the second and third order consequences of what we have heard about the latest news. So I'm really, really happy to have Rod back in the show. Hi, Rod. Good to have you back on the show.
Everyone.
And we have some special guests today from Pencil Labs, Amanda and Troy. Really good to have you guys on the show today.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, Rod. Nice to meet you.
Cool. So really happy to learn more about Pencil Labs. And Amanda, we actually met before and you already demoed a little bit. And I got really excited and I understand, first of all, you guys are Singapore-based. You are an AI adoption agency founded maybe a couple of years ago. And what we understand also is that you focus on document processing, especially. So OCR, you have obviously some workbots and some chat agents. And it's really great to learn more about what you guys do. So perhaps, Amanda, Troy, you can share a little bit about Pencil Labs and what you exactly do.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. So by way of introduction, Pencil Labs was started by founders who are intent of solving problems related to efficiency. So what started out as a automation, lots of work process automations, ended up including the application of AI. So with the advent of more mature AI resources, we're able to then provide our customers with AI solutions that help with their automation. And we have a range of products. And the reason for that is as we evolve, we realize that some of these solutions impact and the value add to the enterprises that we serve end up being more valuable. So we started with chat automation, helping some of these B2C businesses with automating chats with their clients or to automate processes on various social media platforms. And then we realized there is a bigger problem out there to solve, which is digitization, and then helping these customers with understanding the data that they have that's locked in, because all that you keep is scanned documents. And you may not know this, but when you scan a document, even if you were to save it into a PDF, it gets saved as an image. What that means is that it's not usable data. You just save a ton load of images in PDF. And then if data is not usable, it's not friendly, and it's not value adding to the company. And so we're out here to solve this specific problem.
Got it. So my understanding is you started with chatbots, which I think a lot of other startups and companies have been doing. And then in the process, you've actually experienced and seen that a lot of these customers, early adopters, actually ran into the problem of digitization, very manual documents. And so my understanding is that that's how you've gotten yourself into the OCR space. And as you rightly say, right? Like if you take an image and you PDF it, it still stays an image. So maybe tell us a little bit more now. How do you what is so special about your service around OCR, or how did you build that into a service and product?
So we loosely use OCR as a technology because people understand OCR, but OCR has evolved so far ahead and so different from what it used to be. OCR in the past, as we know it, is basically extracting text from images wholesale without contextual understanding, not understanding what it's reading, and it's also unable to read infographics and handwriting. So with the application of AI, and we will show that through demonstrations later, the AI is able to do things like invoice parsing. What that means is that it's able to understand the text it's reading and then correctly document these data into the respective fields, and then it makes it more useful, right? And also the application of AI. Traditionally, OCR had the problem of being unable to distinguish between a zero and an O, one with an L. These things are commonly the pain points of traditional OCR. And what happened then is that a lot of these enterprises have decided not to go with that and has gone backwards to doing a lot of manual extraction and data logging. So when I tell some of these potential customers OCR, they're like, "Oh, I know about OCR," and they identify with OCR, but then I think we have to add in additional information to make them understand that with AI now, OCR has improved by miles, right? So the correct term actually is vision language model. It has gone towards the direction of the larger or the wider, more advanced computer vision category of technology.
And Amanda, I'd like to understand a bit better, where do we currently stand in terms of market adoption? So meaning when you go and talk to customers, are they already aware of this problematic? So they might have heard there is, for example, here all this invoice processing and similar. They might think, oh, this is already a solved problem. So are they advanced in their journey, or do you still need to inform them, educate them what's currently possible?
I think what has worked for us is demonstrations, because the imagination is limited by what I can explain verbally, and that's why we love to do demonstrations. And my usual party trick, as I call it, because we have demonstrations built into our WhatsApp flows, which means I can pull it out on the floor, on the ground, real time, to show you what OCR with the application of AI looks like. And we will do the demonstration later, and I think if I speak to it, you will be able to see. So you're right that I think the imagination of what OCR's capability, it's very locked into what the all OCR technology is capable of. Now with the application of AI or computer vision plus the vision language model, things have surpassed the previous known applications or the use cases of OCR.
No, I just want to hear to add in that I'm thinking here, for example, if I think these days, especially for business software, so like bookkeeping and all these ERPs and so on, they have advanced capabilities in terms of, I see these days, for example, if I pay with a company credit card and I need the upload expense, I just take a photo and automatically this happens in the background. So here, in which part of the process do you come, and also how do you differentiate or maybe are a bit different compared to these out-of-the-box solutions that are already offered by, for example, these bookkeeping providers?
That's a great question. So we do have that as a baseline capability. In addition to that, we are also able to build custom fields. Think of it of an Excel. If there are specific key data points that you would like to extract, if you were to prompt it correctly, it comes out into it's able to pass out the right data, regardless of the type of documentation you feed through the platform. And that's very powerful, because beyond working on invoices, the use cases are endless. One example is we are actually working with Singapore Computer Society actually to look at how users are able to query databases and be able to draw out things. It's almost like an e-learning process. So invoice is only a very small subcategory of what's possible. Other use cases would be non-standardized customer slips, and you want specific data to be pulled out, we can do that. So your standard bookkeeping invoice looks out for very defined terms, right? Very defined fields. We're able to do that and more. And that means that you're able to expand the scope beyond just invoices.
And I think this is one of the trends we see in the market, which is we have technology available, and it sounds like you have the capability of extracting information from an image, and without some type of business logic, but actually the AI is learning by itself and doing this by itself. Um, And I think it's really about coming up with the right use cases and applying it. And I think that is really something I find very curious to hear a little bit more from you guys, like which sectors find that type of solution interesting. What are the most pressing problems you've seen your technology actually helping out?
So if we were to look at the business on the business side, what are their priorities, right? And for us, we're very passionate about solving problems of businesses. It could be improving the top line revenue for them. It could be reducing pain points, efficiency problems for them. It could, quite simply, just allowing the existing workforce to focus on value adding things instead of doing manual extraction. And therefore, looking into solving some of these key problems, the immediate industries or the type of customers that come to mind would be those who have very manual processes, a lot of documentation, lots of heaps and rooms full of paperwork that they don't really know what to do, because they think that keeping paperwork in boxes and rooms, it's information, right? Like it's like I'm keeping this information in my locked room means I can access it anytime. But the reality, it's not the case. It's a very painful process for the person who has to start digging for information when the time comes, right? And oh, okay, if I scan it, I can search for it. And the answer is also no, that's not true, because the very best you could possibly do is do a Control F search in your database, but that's about it. It's not information, it's not analytics. So that's a lot of waste opportunity. And I think a lot of these slightly more traditional businesses where the focus in their business could be in manufacturing. So this is not obviously not top of mind stuff. They are coming to realize, oh, I'm getting paper degradation. Oh, if I don't scan this, how do I actually check that the PO that I received tallies with the delivery order that I've gotten, and how do I make sure that the good received note has been received before I do an invoicing? But so all these are some of these pain points that our clients are facing.
Talking about your internal operations, I'm quite curious where historically agencies, all these so service businesses, they're considered like lower margin because you have all this headcount, you can only grow with hiring more people and so on and so forth. However, there are voices that say now with AI, all this changes, and then it's possible to achieve SaaS level margins within an agency business. Are you seeing this? How is AI impacting you?
So, while we can be seen as an agency business, that is true. We actually have SaaS products. Our edit service in the agency model is to prescribe some of these solutions for each of these different use cases. And as we develop, we will be more enabled with our SaaS being more independent than what we have currently. I think a part of it is also sales and business development, which makes us seen as an agency. So to your question, the scalability of the business model. Actually, agency business doesn't mean that there are no margins to it. In fact, the reverse might be true. What we're trying to do now is that we're trying to move from maybe a higher margin to volume with lower margin, right? That is our end goal. But right now, with our current capabilities and our platform, we are at the initial stages of the business growth.
And now we're 2 years and a half, this Gen AI revolution. So ChatGPT came out in October 2022. And when you go and talk to potential customers, how well educated are they? Do you come and you still need to explain, oh, there's here the ChatGPT and this is what it can do? Or are they coming to you and already asking you explicitly for things that they want to achieve?
So I think ChatGPT has ignited the imagination of many of these business owners. Now, that is there is a gateway for these business owners to understand what AI is, right? That was also my first entry point into AI. So ChatGPT, it's great. Like they see the possibilities, and then when we give them a solution that, oh, ChatGPT can do it. But in reality, there are distinctions. Number one, where uh the ChatGPT model would not be suffice, or it will not compare against a platform like ours. It's for in terms of OCR, it's accuracy, right? We have fine-tuned the model where we can claim accuracy above a certain percentage, above 90%, above 95%. And we have tested all of these with other models as well. So we're very confident, and this is why this is our focus of ChatGPT. Will also not allow for you to build a Query Labs internal tool, just because every time you feed documentation, and that becomes OpenAI's trainable data, and I don't think you want to do that, especially with sensitive documents.
So some of the misconceptions that people would have about AI implementation is that we all know that let's say ChatGPT can do like multiple things, but at the end of the day, there are still some limitations in terms of what it can do. So for example, you'll be creating PowerPoint presentations, right? So people would think that, oh, AI can really do so much of the things, right? Why is it not able to do these presentations? So how we see AI is like an infant. So when it was ChatGPT 3.5, it was at an infant stage. And right now it's probably growing up to be at the elementary or primary school stage, where it's able to take on more task-based actions, such as creating some of these marketing copy, or even do the web search for you, things like that.
The other thing to add on, that's not possible with just using your ChatGPT, is to build brand related. You're not able to create brand related images and copy visuals. That's not possible with ChatGPT. In fact, you can't even turn it on and off as you wish. It's a set of it's a platform that you kind of have to train, and this is one of our projects that we have undertaken. So it's an internal tool that this company has designed for any of their creators to kind of use word-based text, and everything that comes out is brand aligned visuals and copy, and that requires training. It's not something that you can get off the shelf.
Meanwhile, Troy, I'm curious here. So, for example, from a technical side, you're coming that here, the potential customers and so on. I imagine it's not really a plug and play, right? There must be some integration happening. So, what's the timeline to onboarding? So, if I say, hey, I'm this company and I have all these documents and I want to start using here Pencil Labs, and from the moment that we agree on doing that, when can I start seeing results?
Yeah. So basically, we allow two parts where, number one, we can kickstart on implementing to actually scan in all the documents that they previously has, right? And then on the other part, right, whatever that is currently generated. So let's say I got a new invoice coming in, I can straight away plug it in and have it saved and queryable straight away. So it doesn't take really long.
Because when I think of, for example, about in the past machine learning projects, data science projects, and so on, just alone this onboarding phase, this data preparation, and so on, would, let's say, potentially take months, and then still have an uncertain outcome if it really work. But then what I gather from you is that really on one side is very swift the whole process, and on the other side it is pretty much guaranteed that companies will see from day one some positive outcomes, right?
Yes. So what we did was that we trained the model in such a way whereby it doesn't have to strictly follow a certain format. We understand that different companies do have different formats of invoicing, things like that, in terms of their documentation. But when we set it out to be, we want it to really a plug and play, whereby any company, once they put it in, is able to extract that information accurately and correctly. That would be the main aim that we are trying to drive at.
And so here, uh, so I have a class where I teach all these concepts and so on. And then for the final projects, the students had to do actually a document processing application. And one of the biggest challenges that I had was exactly this part on you have a document, multiple pages, and then how they separate it into pieces, into chunks. So this chunking part was really challenging in how to get good results because you could say, okay, maybe I could like make one page as a chunk or maybe one paragraph. So do you have maybe some rules of thumb of what works here, what we've seen that it makes sense to do?
Yeah. So ultimately, when processing the documents, right, you're splitting into chunks. But then this chunk, this particular chunk, let's say chunk A, it doesn't mean exactly what it is, right? So you got to put it together with context in terms of, okay, this is part of the chunk within a certain document, right? So it's able to understand that throughout out of this whole document, this particular chunk appears here, and it allows the RAG system to properly query and find out what this chunk is actually about, instead of just a few sentences within the document.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense to have here some context, some metadata around, because otherwise, as you're saying, it's unclear where it's coming from. And when you go and then talk to potential here clients, do they have this understanding, or for example, are they expecting like magic happening? So I'm very curious about how sophisticated currently the market is, or if it's already very early, and then one is explaining just the basics of saying, "Hey, this is Gen AI, and you can do a lot of things with that."
So currently what we do is that we do show some demos that we are very confident in what we are trying to do, what we provide, right? There are things that the client do request for that we have not reached that stage yet. So that's when we do not actually engage as well. So it's ultimately based on what we foresee ourselves we are able to help with the company.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I was thinking about that is that, so in theory, so with traditional SaaS, you would say, let's say per seat, and you say, okay, I have maybe like 10 accountants and then 10 seats and so on. But here you're processing documents, right? So then maybe you have one user who is like the admin, but this person might be processing millions of documents. And within these documents, some of them might be hundreds of pages, and others maybe one page. So what's here like the right way to price this? Is it like per page, per paragraph? How's that work?
Yeah. So what we do is that for ingestion of the document, we do it on a per page basis because there are tokens that's being run in order to extract the text. And then afterwards, we do more like a per seat basis or per query. So our solution allows the users to actually query and ask questions about the whole database of documents. So we do like a pool number of queries. So we provide, for example, 10,000 queries per month, right, for a certain price. So there are two parts of this pricing.
Yes, yes. And the other thing where I think about these documents, it is that very often they have not only text, but for example, they have like tables and charts and like here's some pie chart and this, that, and so on. Is that hard a process? Is that something where, for example, if I'm a potential client and say, hey, mostly my documents are to say like consulting management presentations that are so mostly here charts and graphs. Would I be able, do they get some value from that? Or do I need to have only here contracts, for example?
Yeah. So that's the problem with the current ChatGPT and also some of the OpenAI models is that it's unable to read tables properly. The way it extracts text is different, right? So what we do is that we take the images, we take the handwriting, we take the tables as a whole, and basically understand what is this whole table is about. So it's not just taking the text from the table, but understanding the table as a whole, the image as a whole, um, out of this entire document. So document and also contextual understanding of it all is really important in order to allow accuracy and also relevance to whatever the question that the user posts.
And recently I was talking to someone who was just in Singapore, and then the person was very surprised about how Gen AI driven the government and local authorities are. So that they're using here Gen AI LLMs for internal processing and so on. I don't know if you can tell us more about like the local market for those who are not based in Singapore. How are like here the public administration and maybe other public entities interacting with AI?
From what I know, it is that Japan actually utilize very less on LMs, even for their citizens. They don't use it as much as compared to other Asian countries. So they perceive it as a lot of using it to be lazy or things like that. So it's not that much usage in terms of the AI, in particular for Japan. I think in Singapore it's fairly open but I think in terms of the employees, usually, even if it's AI generated, we don't actually tell it to our superiors. But I think it's widely adopted, people to use it.
Just to add on, I think with government agencies and the public sector, it really depends on which government agencies these are, because some of these government agencies, those who work in them have to carry two laptops, because one is so secure. It's an internal chat, and no other things can be pass through this system, and then they carry a second laptop to communicate with the rest of the world, and so I think there will be challenges to some of the adoption to AI when security is so tight, and which means other options have to be considered, like on-prem solutions, or when it's like a private cloud of sorts, and so adaptations need to be made. They probably can't use our general SaaS solution, that's for sure. A lot of fine-tuning needs to happen. Yeah, but by and large, I think I would like to quote this, because this is what we have experienced so far. Businesses understand the value of AI. They are also very curious. They want to adopt it. I think the question for them is how, right? And also looking at AI, balancing the ROI for adopting the AI becomes paramount, right? Because a lot of these AI solutions may not have a direct impact to the top line immediately. It may take a while before it translates to top line ROI. For example, documentation, digitization. If we were to do a digitization for any one company, they're not going to see a top line impact. In fact, they will see a bottom line impact, because it ends up being a cost bucket to them. But the long-term efficiency gains and many other gains in many aspects has to be tabled in.
Yes, I agree that it's this part on security and confidentiality and so on, and then here having multiple laptops makes a lot of sense. Now I want to say just that, so here also Riverside, and then also like startups, so it's not like the product is always super polished. So thinking about that, what just Amanda was saying on and that topic of here, so government employees, for example, carrying two laptops and so on, and then you made that maybe the case as well for these document-heavy organizations like banks, financial secure services, and so on. So how does that impact you? Do you have to run everything on their premise? Do you need to basically have everything on site? Or are they okay with saying, hey, just take our documents and process it in some cloud?
Yeah. So ultimately, we follow in terms of whatever the client requests. So some of them, they will prefer on-prem. Some of them will prefer on their private cloud. So we actually, based on whatever their preferences are, we do not actually enforce a lot on, hey, it has to be on our private cloud, things like that. So we want to keep it open. We want to keep it accessible for these companies.
And here, do you have like maybe like a ballpark figure of with the percentage of those who say, hey, I want a private cloud, I am okay with this. So here, a public cloud, or those who say I want on premise, is it like, I don't know, 70, 15, 15, or what's here the ratio?
I think right now on premise is actually very low. It is like less than 5%. Mainly most of it is that they are okay for it to host it on our database. And then the next 20% is they would like to have it on their private cloud.
I mean, guys, I would love to have a one-click presentation slide make in whatever form or shape. So try if you build it, let me know when it's released. But maybe coming up, since we talked a lot about your solution, I think it would be really great to see also a demo. So perhaps you guys can share something with us so that we can get a deeper understanding.
I am going to share my screen, but before I do that, I'm just gonna speak to what I will be presenting. I'm going to start by showing the WhatsApp capabilities. So we talked about chat automation, and I think chat automation has evolved where the implementations are varied. So we're going to take a look at that. And then subsequently, I'm going to show some of these OCR technology. All right, so I'm just going to do a demonstration on our WhatsApp demo bot. As I mentioned, this is a demo that we use, just on the fly showcase to anyone and just about everyone we meet. And so we have secret codes in our demo bot, and we can draw out various other flows. But I'm going to show you the standard ones that we have. So we built one very simple one. This is the most basic, the clinic booking, right? It can be any kind of booking. It just shows the ability to say book an appointment, show our locations, cancel an appointment, so on and so forth. The beauty of these solution is that it's not just a WhatsApp chat, right? As I'm pulling out, as I am selecting consultant Alex, Dr. Alex, actually I am going into his calendar and pulling out the relevant available slots that he has, right? As you can see now, I'm trying to book his time today at 12, and obviously this is just a sample, and I can say yes, I confirm, and that takes away a lot of friction between especially businesses that have lots of front-facing clients. Booking was actually, honestly, this is the biggest pain point that I saw that made me a convert, right, onto this platform. So I backtrack now. I know we're doing a demo, but when I saw the possibilities within WhatsApp, it coincided with my own frustrations booking a slot with my salon. Right, I had to go back and forth. I had to say, "Oh, is there any slot available tomorrow?" And then they'll text back. They say, "Oh, how about 2 p.m.?" I said, "Oh, 2 p.m. doesn't work for me. What about 5 p.m.?" And then they check and they say, "Oh, 5 p.m. is not available. How about the day after?" And it never ends. By the time I get a slot, I'm frustrated, and that's not a good experience for both the business as well as the consumer side. And beyond, I'm going to pull out an example that we have here, which shows some possibilities beyond the realm of just making bookings. So I'm going to select here randomly these some from an inventory, a catalog of motorbikes. And what it does is that it pulls out real-time inventory data, and even it's able to automate pictures and PDFs and say, I want to rent this motorcycle, right? And it's able to intuitively ask me, oh, are you, well, when would you like to start the rental? And I don't actually I don't have to follow the format that is given. I can even say tomorrow, 2 p.m., for example. And it's able to understand that and how many days would I like to rent this motorcycle for. I can put 3, 5, whichever. And it's able to do a back-end computation. All right, so tomorrow, the 22nd of May, for 5 days is the 27th of May. And that's correct. And I just go ahead and confirm. And this is it's just such a seamless way to make these bookings and also to include any of these add-ons, as you can see here. Now there's no need for me to do any back and forths with one person just to confirm a booking. That's also no need for any one person or rather there's no need for the business to build an app specifically to do this, right? Everything is done seamlessly on WhatsApp, and WhatsApp is great because this is where your customers reside, or at least I mean in the case of Singapore, that's where a lot of people use WhatsApp to communicate. So you want to be where it's easy for your customers, especially for repeat bookings or to be able to be discovered easily. You want to be where they are. Okay, sorry, back to the demo. As you can see, they have done all the backend computation. It has calculated for the duration of 5 days, the total rental amount, any add-ons, and the total amount. And it has sent me a payment link, as you can see here. So if I hit the payment link, it'll take me to a checkout. So it goes through a payment processor. It has tabulated the total payment, $560, as you see here. And I can do pay now, I can do credit cards, I can do Grab Pay, whatever I want to. And it can do receipts, it can do invoices. So this is a sample of what automation can allow for some of these businesses to enjoy, right? Now coming back to the WhatsApp, so I showed some simple automation. Then you might ask, oh, how about like can I build a sales rep on the platform? And let's take a look at an example of a sales rep doing for one of the businesses. So in this example here, they are in the skincare line. Let's just assume this is a skincare brand. I ask a very generic question, right? Can you recommend me a skincare routine? And it's able to, because I asked a generic question, it's likely to answer me generically to a question like this, or cleanser, moisturize, sun protection. But it's also asked me back a question. Could you tell me any particular concerns you might have? Sensitivity, dryness, or what have you, right? So maybe I would say I have dry skin, right? So it's able to speak as if it's Olive's sales rep or consultant, and is able to then recommend me, oh, actually, why not try the Day Glow, right? It's perfect for dry skin. It's able to respond specifically to my question and my needs. So it's no longer a very generic AI solution. I can have a two-way chat, and this this back and forth can go on forever. So as you can see, it's able to do recommendation. So I think a lot of chat automation stops at doing what we call rule-based automation. That means if I ask a specific question, it needs to be this specific thing, then I can then the bot's able to answer. In this scenario, no, I can ask it really random questions. Maybe if I can invite the audience to ask me a question, and I'll ask the bot a question, and I can try it here. Would you have
So for example, here for the UV rays and so on, so maybe I can ask if this is, for example, for children, or for example, like pregnant women.
Is this maybe I say, is this safe for pregnant women? Right. Yeah. And while it's answering, yeah, so it answers based on its products information that was given to us. So in this case, they say, oh, loved by my have been loved by many during pregnancy. So they have a database of pregnant women who have used this, but then they also suggested, please check with your gynecologist to ensure complete safety. So this example here, just want to preface this, it hasn't been it's not a complete cycle. So there's no specific call to action. There's a lot of Q&A involved. What I meant to say was it's just a Q&A platform, right? It can do recommendations for now, but in the future it will be able to do checkouts and payments and so on and so forth. I'm going to cancel this flow. I want to showcase an example of OCR real time. I'm going to take a random name card, and this is with consent from a jewelry store in Singapore. So I'm going to give an example through WhatsApp again, where I'm going to take a picture of a name card, right? So you can see here, I have taken a picture of a name card. Not very clear to be honest, like it's a bit blurry because of my camera, but I'm going to showcase how it does the extraction, right? So if you recall, the name was Devin Chan, and it has pulled out information here. So I promise you, Troy is not on the back end typing furiously on the back end. You will see here now that the name has been printed in row 138. Devin Chan is shown the company, the job title, the address, the phone number, as well as an email and a website. So this is this is in line with what I was showing earlier. As you can see with this card, Devin Chan, sales executive, the company's name, the address, email address, and the website. And so it comes back to what we were discussing about OCR. Traditional OCR would have taken all the text wholesale. It would not distinguish, and it's not able to distinguish what is Taka. It may even take Taka as a name. You wouldn't understand that sales executive that's written here is a job title or position or designation. It would just take the text, literal text. Devon could be the company. It doesn't matter. It just takes wholesale. And so the OCR with the implementation of AI has now become a lot more useful, and it is beyond what the traditional understanding of OCR is able to do. Okay, I'm gonna take a pause here because I know I've spoken a lot. I have just shown some examples of WhatsApp automation. I've also shown some of the possible integrations, FAQ chats. I will move on to our demonstration with other things, right? I'm going to focus a little bit more on OCR, and the best way to kind of show it is through doing a PDF to Markdown conversion. So we can test it to see how accurate it's able to extract the information. And I did not take this one out earlier, but let me show you the example that we will take you through. We're going to take the example of our AWS invoice. And as you can see here, in addition to the printed text, we have written a blurb. And this blurb, this was over Singapore's general election. So we went to the Prime Minister's office website to see if there's anything that we can write about so people identify with. So this is our Prime Minister Wang's education qualification. So we have written it down in handwriting, and we put it in the same document, right? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it side by side. And I'm going to put this document into the platform, right? I'm going to convert this to Markdown, and I think the printed text should not come as a surprise, but the handwriting would be very interesting to see, and beyond doing a word for word extraction, we're also going to put it to the test with a query function, right? So I'm going to select the same document and we're going to ask it questions. But as it's taking its time to load, maybe, oh, actually that's quick. Let's see. If I do a side-by-side comparison, what it has done is that it has extracted all the text in here over to the right-hand side of the screen. And I think this is not interesting. I think what's interesting is the handwriting, as you can see here. Mr. Wang obtained his bachelor's and master's degrees in economics from and so on and so forth. I wouldn't read the whole thing, but you can see now handwriting is you're able to do a markdown on handwriting into editable text. So now you can copy and paste and use the text, right, without having to do a manual transfer of handwriting into printed text. Now, let's put the same document into our searchable database. I put the same document in here, and I'm going to ask it random questions, right, about this document. Right, it's specific to this document because I have ingested just this document. Let me ask a question. Maybe the most straightforward question is, what is this invoice about, right? So what it does is that it reads the document, and it tells me what this thing is about. It says here, this invoice is about charges related to AWS for the period December 1st to December 31st, 2024. And it's an invoice for SGD, $3,688.90, and so on and so forth, right? Maybe I will ask a little bit more specific questions around what I'm seeing in the content here. Maybe I will ask, how much taxes do I need to pay, right? So as you can see, this is a very specific question. It needs to pull a very specific set of numbers, and so it's able to say, okay, it's USD $225, which is the GST for taxes, right? And it's able to also understand, like, what is the invoice number, for example. And again, it's able to pull out the right information here. That's the SG, sorry, this is the line, the tax invoice number line, and that is correct. Okay, so I've asked for what's printed and text-based questions. So the last question around this is, where did Mr. Wong go to school? And it's able to read the handwriting and answer the question accordingly. So the Querylet is able to do that, and you're able to make a searchable database of it. So yes, that's all for the demonstration for the OCR and Querylets.
Fascinating, Amanda. And so here it is something where we've seen so many things. So here it will be basically like a water hose of information. So here for our users and our listeners, and we've been here talking about so many things in general. So I'd say, is there like a message you like to leave our audience with? So is there something that you say, hey, this is like the main takeaway from our conversation today? What would that be?
I think if I were to share a little bit from my perspective, I think it's I think exploring, taking the first step to explore, it's important. I think the understanding solutions and its capabilities is the first step towards looking at some of these AI applications for your business, and also some of the personal tools are greatly useful for that.
It's super interesting. Yeah, I agree with that. And also in general, like, just thinking about all these demos is something that I'm sure that for every company, it might be something slightly different. So a combination maybe of here, the chatbot or document processing and so on and so forth. And for that, I wonder, or rather, I think that most companies will say, hey, I want to be in touch. I want to explore this further. So where can they find you? How can they get started? They say, hey, this is what I need. How can they get started?
I think they can always reach out to us and with emails, or like we can leave the contact details. That's also possible. That would be a great way to connect with us, and we'll be happy to share more.
Great. Then thank you so much. I think this was really good to understand a bit more what Pencil Labs are doing. I think really cool to see how the OCR works. Also understood you're building chatbots. You have a knowledge graph here. And yeah, thank you so much for coming onto the show. We probably have learned something new today. And yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, we'll leave your contacts in the show notes, and we'll see you guys later. If you like the show, please also subscribe, give feedback and commentary, and we'll hear you guys back on the show next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.